through the schoolhouse.
Yeah. So where'd you live?
In Ashton, South Dakota. We were out in the country, but that was our address.
Mm-hmm.
Ashton, South Dakota.
Ashton, South Dakota. So how long ago was that?
Well, I'm 80. I'll be 87 in December. So how many years ago was that? And then I would have been 5, 6, 7 years old, I suppose, going to school.
So do the math. It's 2015 minus 87. We're talking in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
30s.
I started school in the 30s.
Yeah.
And we walked to school because it was about 3/4. It was a mile and a little bit extra, so probably a mile and a fourth. And we walked most of the time, except when it was stormy. Dad would take us in the car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It wouldn't take you normally? Just.
No, we walked a lot.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't all that in the spring and the fall. And in the winter, he would, take us and pick us up. But we didn't have a school bus or anything like that.
No school bus back then? Was it just too rural, or?
Yeah, it was just a rural school right in the corner, and it isn't even there anymore. It was just at a crossing, and they built the schoolhouse.
Sure.
And we went to school there, and the most people that ever were there, I think, was about 12. And it got down when it finally closed, there was only 1, 2, 3 of us and 2 other ones. So 3 and
you and your sisters and 2 other, huh?
Yeah, and 2 others, and they closed it.
Yeah.
And now it's gone. It isn't even there anymore.
Is the city there anymore? The town?
Huh?
Is the town there anymore? Or?
Well, it wasn't in town. It was out in the country.
Yeah.
And but it's just field now.
Sure.
But I've got pictures of it, of us standing in front of it. Doris and I and Karen and 1 or 2 other kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't tell you right where they are now because of course they're
packed away, sure.
Yeah, but I went to school there till I was 8th grade. And when I graduated from the 8th grade, then of course all the schools in the county got together, and I was the top one as far as grades were concerned.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty nice.
Of course,
Yeah, I think I had a 96 average.
Good grief.
Yeah. Well, but when you went to a school and didn't have a lot of competition and everything, and you studied and things, why, I don't know, why shouldn't you have gotten good grades? Yeah.
So when you went to school during the day, were you expected to participate at the farm when you came home, or what was your life after, or your day-to-day life after school?
Dad always took care of the cattle, and we helped Mother in the house, but we never expected to be out in the barn doing any work.
Mm-hmm.
Never milked a cow or things like that.
What kind of farm did you grow up on? Was it a dairy? Or?
Yeah, but we didn't have an awful lot of cows. We had chickens, and Mother always hatched little chickens. We had some roosters and things, and she saved some of the eggs, and of course they would, if the hens would sit on them, they would hatch, Of course, she gathered them every day until she decided, and then she'd keep some in the spring, and then they would, as you know, hens will try to settle down, and they like to be a mother,
Yep.
So there were nests that Mother made. They built them in little cupboards, kind of, and so they would sit on there for, I think it took 3 weeks to hatch them. I may be wrong, but I think it took about 3 weeks. Pretty soon they break open the shells of the eggs and they would hatch.
Did you have any pet chickens?
Well, yeah, I guess we maybe did. I don't know. I remember one year that Doris and I and Karen, that we were, 3 of us, and we each had, they went to the neighbors and got different kinds of chickens. So one had white ones, and and I had Rhode Island Reds, because I wanted some, and each of us had different colored chickens. And we had some nests out that Dad had made, or where he got them, I don't know, and so we raised them in the yard, and so then we had the fun of when they hatched, they were different colors. I remember that.
But they were all yellow when they hatched, weren't they?
Well, they were young. They just had little fluffy, kind of fluffy bodies. But when they got feathers, then they got different colored feathers. But isn't that funny? I haven't thought about that for years.
Right.
I still see them out there. Well, then as they grew up, and Mother kept, we had water and we fed them and stuff. And then we butchered them and had them ate them, because then she either canned them or I don't think we had a freezer at that point.
You canned the chickens?
Well, yeah, we butchered them and, cut up the meat and canned them into food jars.
People don't do that anymore.
No, they don't. They freeze them.
Yep.
And I froze them later on after we got a freezer and stuff, after I got married and stuff. And I had chickens. And, Oh, you got that way up there, Cheryl. How did you do that?
Oh, much better.
Well, don't go messing with it.
Yeah, don't touch it, right?
Can I touch it?
No.
But now, what's going to happen when I turn the blind up?
It shouldn't do anything. It should be just fine.
I shouldn't touch it.
But you can't be pulling on a curtain and.
Well, I'm not going to pull on the curtain, but when I wind that up, so I close it. No, don't. I don't lift them up
Like this.
Well, just
they go down, right?
I'll show you.
Yeah,
Right here.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
It's just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't touch them at all.
Sorry, Colin.
Sweat.
See, I leave them open until night, and then I close them because I don't want people to look in. No, they look nice, Cheryl. But I'm not supposed to touch
Well,
these.
you can't be fussing with them because it's wedged in up there.
Yeah, I'm not going to fuss with them. But I thought I should maybe hold them in. Up there, over right there. See where they meet. There you go. Yeah. Looks perfect. Oh, I tell you, your mother is great.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, she
I think so.
is.
Yeah.
She had a good mother.
Listen to this.
Listen to that, yeah.
Yeah, I learned lots of things from Mom.
Well, I don't know if you did or not, but
Well, she said them.
I hope you did. Well, I think I had some ice cream. If you'd like a dish of ice cream.
I think you should talk some more to Colin.
Oh.
You want to get some ice cream for Rochester? I bet you he'd
will
like
get
that.
it, And
Yeah.
you talk some more to Colin.
Oh. Well, I don't know what
Talk about when Karen was born and how you had to go and you lifted up to see the new baby.
Yeah, what's your earliest memory, I guess?
Well, of her was when Karen was born. She was born on the farm at home. And I don't know, Dad took us down to the neighbors who were kind of related to us. And he took us down there apparently. And of course, we didn't know anything like baby was coming or anything because I was only 3-4 years old. And then when we came back here, Mother was in bed in the little bedroom that we had downstairs. I can just see it. And here was this little crib by the bed. And of course, it was too high up. It was kind of on a, how little basket.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so I had to be held up or got lifted up. So I looked in there, and here that little baby was in that basket. And that was the first time I saw Karen. And they had blankets around her and stuff. And they said, look what we have here. And it's kind of funny, and I remember that. It's just so plain. I can just see it. But after she had her for a while, I don't ever remember her being a baby or kind of, I suppose, you just don't remember those things. But you remember that was kind of a big thing,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so I don't
Snapshot.
remember her being I kind of remember her as being crawling around and stuff, but it's kind of funny. Well, I wasn't so much older. She was about 3.5 years younger than I was.
Right.
So I must not have been more than about 3.5 when she was born. But anyway, it was kind of fun. But I can just see the bedroom that they were in. And Mother was in bed, and the crib was right beside the bed, or a basket. It wasn't a crib, it was a basket, kind of a baby, you know, regular baby basket. Yeah.
So Karen was born at the farmhouse.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. In South Dakota.
Was that normal back then, or?
I think pretty much so, because I was born in the little town of Ashton, and I was born at a lady that's what she did. She delivered babies, and that's where Mother had gone. But how come Karen was born at the house? And maybe the lady came there and helped with the thing, but see, I was gone. They had taken me to the neighbors. Doris and I were at the neighbors.
So did you get along with your sisters?
Mm-hmm. We get along good.
Yeah, peas in a pod, or?
Yeah.
That's strange.
No, we got along pretty good. Yeah. Of course, Doris was the oldest one, and she got to do some of the things that, of course, I thought I could do too. But we got along good. I can't remember, but we didn't have. Mother had 2 dish pans, and she had one big round one that she put water in, and she washed the dishes after meals and stuff. And then she had a little pan that she put them in to drain, and she had a little bit of water in there that was so she could rinse them. And then us girls, I remember it was Doris and I mostly. I can't remember Karen doing so much. Maybe she did, but she was the youngest one. So Doris and I, we would wipe the dishes then. Because Mother would put them in a pan and they'd kind of drain a little bit, and then we'd have dish towels. And then one of us, we had a blackboard there. And you know what a blackboard is? It's so big. And we had chalk. So we'd take turns then. And then one would wipe the dishes as Mother would wash them and rinse them, while then we'd wipe them. And then one of us would stand by that blackboard, and we would draw, what do you call it? And they would have to guess what the word was.
Hangman.
Hangman. That sounds like fun, actually. Good way to pass the time, right?
Well, and then they would ask questions about, well, is this a man or a woman, or is it a building, or what is it you're trying to spell out there?
20 questions or something,
yeah,
right?
You'd ask questions and then get answers and stuff, and pretty soon they'd get the name there, and then you'd guess the letter. If you was going to say house, well, you'd say an H. Well, okay, yeah, this is an H, okay. Well, what about, but maybe it'd be a house, maybe it'd be a horse, maybe it'd be something else.
Right, right. You gotta go through the whole thing. That sounds fun.
But anyway, and so then we got the dishes done, and we had a little fun at the same time, We didn't have dishwashers then and stuff, it was just...
Did you have running water?
Yeah, we had running water, but we didn't, Mother had to heat the water on the stove. It wasn't hot water.
Warm water.
Yeah. She had to heat it, and she'd wash dishes and stuff. And of course, as the years grew, things got better and better and better. And I'm not saying that we were always that way, but I remember standing by the table, Mother washing the dishes and putting them in that water to rinse them, and then we take them and wipe them and stack them up so that we could put them in the cupboard. And then we'd take turns, like working on that blackboard. And I just remember that part of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you didn't live in South Dakota though your entire childhood though. When did you move?
I was 15 when we moved.
Yeah.
I was a junior in high school. I think a junior. Yeah, I was.
And that was to Alex?
Yeah.
Did you finish out your high school then at the high school here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was. Doris graduated in South Dakota, and the folks moved to Minnesota early. I think they moved in April. So I stayed with Doris because they wanted her to graduate from the school we were in. We were in a school in a little town called Brentford, and I was a sophomore and she was a senior. move on to the farm, you know, and move all the stuff and
Oh yeah.
whatever. With these people. And she could hardly walk and she couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
So we helped get meals and we made beds and back. There were some relatives that lived out in the country. Some of so it would be April, May. May was March, April.
Right.
Of course, she was with this other lady and her husband, but anyway. It wasn't too big a class. I can't. And moved by up by Milton. Karen was younger then, of course. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I did well in school.
Oh, cool.
And then I went to work for the 4-H club. Worked there, and that's where I met Harvey, because he was involved in 4. And 5 years, I think. Well, he belonged to rural youth.
Sure.
Called Douglas County Rural Youth. Through that, I guess.
You graduate, huh?
And office there, and so that's where a group called the Rural Youth, the Douglas County Rural Youth, and we would have fun things together. We do, I don't know, I picked them. It was all young people. It was a young people's group, and had fun. I met Harvey. And then there was his friend lived not too far from the farm, and so my girlfriend, and so then together. And then it ended up after a year and a half or something about we were that way, and then we both got married. We got married, I think the 17th of November. They're both gone now.
Oh.
Well, all 3 of them are gone. Harvey the only one left. But we did a lot of things together. Because, the men would get together because they lived out here at Kent. We both lived in Alec, and they'd pick us up, and we'd go dancing, we'd go different places, the 4 of us, a lot. We had a lot of, got married only about 2-3 weeks apart.
That's great. Were you in?
They weren't our attendants.
No.
He was being one of the attendants.
Sure.
But I had I'd have them for attendance, you know.
I saw the pictures. Yep.
You saw- and then the little neighbor boy was one of Harvey's little cousins. Yeah, so that's the way it was. And then right after we were married, of course, folks moved off, but Harvey's brother Byron there. They'd already been married about a year. Harvey's folks then moved off the farm and lived in eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They built that house in Lake. Time, we could go away, maybe a weekend or the cows and take care of things. Then the next week they would go and we. Otherwise,